How do you gather words for such a time as this? There are no words. The loss is too great. Everything I say will fall grossly short. Nonetheless, Micah would want me to speak. One of our very last conversations was just after I spent the night at his home just a few weeks ago. I was in a transition in my life, and I referenced that even though my future was uncertain, it was time to put on my big girl boots and march forward. And he said to me, "If anyone is capable of it, it is you." Who knew a few weeks ago just how heavy those boots were going to be? But I will not disappoint the confidence that Micah had in me, and so I rise to this moment with strength and dignity, as he knew I would. Micah was a natural teacher and an authentic soul. I have heard him teach many times. He would smile at the way I have gathered these thoughts and unfold them for you now, because he would have done it similarly to me. I know, because our approach to complex issues were always the same. We would take the forest and understand its mass by seeing it tree by tree. And here is our forest. Almost 2 weeks ago, we found out Micah was missing in New York City. And as many of you know, he was on his way to coach at a basketball camp in Boston for the summer. He did this last year, and he was so excited to be there again. He dreamed of one day starting a basketball camp himself. Micah had a layover in New York City, and for 8 hours, rather than sit in the airport, he chose to go into the city. But he never made his flight into Boston. For over 24 hours, the whole family began a minute-by-minute search. We were booking flights, we had detectives, we were hiring PIs, we checked every hospital, we did everything. And then we got the news the next day that he was already gone. Our grief is immeasurable, and our words are ridiculously inadequate. And this is our forest. But over these last 2 weeks, there are trees in this forest that stand out as guideposts for me. These trees are like simple words, actually. Most of the time when people express their condolences to me, I answered with, "There are no words." But there have been seven words or 7 trees in our forest, and I want to share them with you in honor of my son, Micah. These words will forever be significant to me as I wrestle with this reality and this great loss. The first word is thankful. I think I've probably said thank you 1,000 times in the last 2 weeks. The love that has unfolded and wrapped around my family is immeasurable. The people that have talked to us and held us up and texted us and cared for us is truly unbelievable. I'm so thankful to my family, to my sister Alex, to my daughter-in-law Amber, to Jenna, to Micah's girlfriend Gina, and to all my sons. You have been rocks. You have been pillars. I love you so much. I'm so thankful to my friends. I didn't have to think about anything. Everybody just took care of everything for me. My dear, dear, sweet friends, David and Sharon, Helga, George, Janice, where are you? Where's Janice? Janice, you've been such a sweet, dear friend. Thank you. And I'm so thankful for Micah's friends. Their love for Micah will carry me for a very, very long time. You are like my sons, many of you. So many of you grew up in our house. So many of you called me Mom. Thank you so much for your love for my son. You know, I'm not a Facebook person. I check it now and then just to keep in contact. But I'm thankful right now for social media. It has supported me being able to read day in and day out all the posts from all the people who loved my son. It's been a very beautiful thing, and I'm thankful for that. But mostly I'm thankful to be Micah's mom. He was my beautiful boy, handsome, piercing blue eyes, glowing skin, engaging smile, tall, strong, funny, quick-witted, adventuresome, caring, sensitive, loving, kind, deep, insightful, and powerfully observant. He was my boy. I love all my boys just the same, but Micah was my baby boy. I loved him deeply. I can't tell you how many times he looked across the room at me with a wink of recognition, knowing that I saw what he saw. I loved him so, and so did his brothers. They always had an incredibly tight loyalty between them. And thinking of my sons, the next word that has buoyed me through this week is proud. First, I am proud of my sons. Strong and brave they are. 6 years ago to this day, we had a funeral service for their father. I was proud of them then, facing such a loss while still so young. But I am even more proud of them today, choosing authenticity and vulnerability, love and devotion when hiding behind a mask of pseudo-masculine strength would have been so much easier. They have not one time run from their grief. They have been a wall of strength and strong pillars of support to me. I am proud of Micah, how he inspired, how he made people feel like they counted and that they mattered, of how even in the midst of his failure, he remained authentic, loving, kind, and he never stopped trying. The pride I feel for my boys brings me to another tree in our forest, which is anger. Anger always accompanies grief, and at some point, but Micah's tragic death brings the anger to a whole new level. Micah began his struggle with opiates as a result of receiving prescription of painkillers after suffering a broken collarbone. The fact is, misuse of prescription painkillers is at epidemic proportions. According to the CDC, 8.5 million people are right now abusing prescription drugs. There is a 400% increase in this since 2010. Every 19 minutes, someone dies from a prescription drug overdose. Over 100 people die every single day from overdose. Painkillers are powerfully addictive and overprescribed. Rehabs are one of the fastest growing business sectors today, and they're making huge profits while producing a dismal 90% failure rate. How is it possible to have such a huge problem with such deeply debilitating ramifications and it gets so little attention? And the answer to that is another word, and it's shame. And this is the fourth tree or word that we have had to grapple with within our forest. It is shame that keeps us silent. We feel the sting of judgment and the stigma surrounding drug addiction, and we hold our heads down in shame. We turn anger at Big Pharma and the FDA inward toward ourselves, and over, probably for the rest of our lives, my sons and I will cry out for one more chance. We should have saved him. We should have done more. and we agonize, and we scream, and we wail, and we just want him back. We rehash the moments, and we go over the years, and we pick through how we could have made it different, and we writhe in the shame of it. But all that anger and all the blame and all the shame finally brings us to knowing that we are powerless. Powerless has become a very important word for me right now. We are powerless to fix it. We are powerless to bring him back. And we are brought to our knees with this word. The powerlessness of it brings us to the recognition that it is God who gives and God who takes away. Micah was not ours. Micah was not mine. He was our gift from God, and we are humbled by this reality. We have a faithful and loving God whose ways are not our ways. And I see how God's hand has guided us during this loss. From the emotions of thankfulness, pride, anger, shame, powerlessness, and finally humility, as I accept Micah's life as a beautiful gift to us that I will forever cherish. Micah's name comes from a book in the Bible, and he was named for a very special verse in that book. The verse is in your program. It goes, "He has told you, O man, what is good and what the Lord requires of you, to act justly, to love mercy, and to walk humbly with your God." And we are doing that now. So the sixth tree in our forest is humility. We are humbled with the knowledge that we loved Micah well, but will long forever for the chance to have saved him. We humbly accept that our loving God gave us Micah for a brief time, briefer than we wanted, but for a time that we are oh so thankful. Which brings me back around to the word we started with today. Thankful. I say with a gaping hole in my heart, but with all sincerity, thank you to my gracious and almighty God for letting me love and enjoy Micah for 28 years. I am eternally grateful and rest in knowing his fight is over and he is at peace in God's embrace.